Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to Morning Flame. My name is Andrea. I am your host. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, share, and if you have been blessed, I am just so grateful. That is the only reason I like to come on here, because I know God has wisdom for all of us. His love is so unfailing and it's so deep that He would just wants us to grow in every single way. So I'm excited for today's topic. Today's topic is actually about something that we all experience, most of us as women, right? How we have an impact on our homes and how we are able to change the atmosphere of our home. So I'm going to jump right into it. And that's just it. How do you affect your home? How do I affect my home? So it was so funny because yesterday I came home from work. I had texted early and I said, okay, I'm going to text everybody early to make sure everyone does their chores and make sure everyone gets everything, in line so that I'll come home and I'll handle the bathroom. Man, I came home. I looked to the left. I looked to the right. And all I wanted to do was be out of sight. It just rhymed. But truly, I was disappointed, for lack of a better word. I have a lot of better words, but that's the word I'm going to use right here. I was disappointed. And I thought to start asking questions. And I said, now, you know how it goes when you start asking questions. Everybody's going to start feeling a certain type of way. The whole mood of this house is going to go down. And it was my husband's mother's birthday. And we wanted to just go and surprise her at her job and do some stuff. And I thought, okay, you got two options. You can start asking questions about why. Why isn't this done? And why isn't that done? Or you could swallow it. And that's just what I did. So I swallowed it and I was talking to God and I'm like, okay, God, I already know what happens when I come in the house and I start asking questions when things aren't done. Everybody's mood goes womp, 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 right? I am so good at that. So I have been intentionally paying attention, right, to myself, to what triggers me and to how I respond and to how other people respond to me. And it's so important as a woman to know that there's a certain power that we have. We can change the atmosphere of our home. If we come in joyful, everybody gets joyful. If we come in mad, everyone's on edge. They scatter, right? They scatter to their rooms. They hide out. Mara is so good at hiding out. I have to send people to the attic all the time. I think that's just part of her age too. But they scatter. Isaiah won't even come home. And even myself, I remember there were times I used to sit in the car and my husband would be like, you're out there for an hour. And I thought, yeah, I got to find a different parking space. He knows where I'm at now. So there was a time, where I didn't even want to come home and nobody wanted to be in the house. And he would hide in the basement or wherever he was at doing his videos. So, everybody was doing their own thing. And I just thought, I praise God that there's such a change in my home. But conflict still happens, right? And so we have to know how to function in conflict to make it so that just because the conflict happens doesn't mean that the house has to suddenly become this place of like quietness and emptiness and feel void of love. So as a woman, we have power. We have a lot of power. There is a wonderful verse in Proverbs 14:1 that says, I love how God has something for everything. I'm telling you, you want to know about it? It's here in the good book. Proverbs 14:1, every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. So when we think of hands, we think of work. How do we work with our tongue? How do we work with our hands? How does our house function? Like, how is our house being run? A lot of people can agree with me that women primarily run the house to a certain extent. And so with that being said, when we look at, I'm going to look at a couple different things here. So our emotions. Emotions is one thing that I want to look at as women. We have an array of emotions that change, and they can change for no reason. You ever wake up just mad? You just ever wake up just discontent and you don't even have a good reason as to why you're feeling the way you're feeling? Well, if you don't check that and make sure it doesn't seep out to others or let them know, just be open and honest. Like, listen, guys, this has nothing to do with you. This is just a mommy moment where I'm just woke up feeling empty or feeling just not right. We have the power to make that seep into the home and to cause like a cloudy haze to come into the house where everyone's just kind of disconnected and not vibing. So we really have to watch our emotions and what we're putting out there We have power over our emotions, and we have to take control of the power over our emotions. We have to choose good emotions. The one piece of advice I will always remember that one of my bosses, Kathy, had given me was be happy. Choose to be happy. And that never left me. Just because I remember we were in a stairwell, I was about to get married, and she's like, be happy. And I thought, okay. But it was powerful. We really have a choice. We really have to choose to be happy. You can choose to walk in whatever has hindered, whatever it is that you might wake up and a lot of people have traumas. A lot of people have unforgiveness. A lot of people have pains, and unintentionally it flows into husband and children. And of course, yourself. You have to break down barriers, go get the help that you need so that you can choose to get on your happy course, whatever it is that it's going to take. You can't let negative emotions become the way that you function through life, because it will seep into your home. Your children will be affected by it. Your husband will be affected by it. And your atmosphere of your home is so important, and it's so powerful that you won't even want to be there either. I'm telling you, I used to sit in my car. I was miserable. So our emotions, get those in check. We have to be very intentional about making sure our emotions are in alignment. So one thing I can't wait to talk about is self-care and being self-aware. So a lot of people go to these outside sources for self-care, and they work outside of their body, hair, nails, vacations, all these different things where honestly, it's like cutting a branch off a tree and expecting the tree to die. You really have to get to the root cause of why certain things, like, yes, there's times where you're just saying, okay, I just need some time to just go, and self-care has that branch of looking at how you feel about and how you're presenting yourself. If you want to get your hair, your nails, get a massage, take a vacation, that's a branch. But the core of your emotions may lie in something else. So while you're reflecting and while you're asking yourself and you're asking God, like, hey, what is going on with me? Why do I feel this way? You have to then sit back and say, okay, what's the next step? There's a spiritual aspect of it, but then there's also the natural physical. God gave us life coaches. God gave us psychiatrists, psychologists. God gave us counselors. He gave those people to us with purpose, right? To go alongside of him, not before him, alongside of him. So your emotions will affect the atmosphere of your home. Get your emotions in check. Whatever's hurting you, if it's just that when you're having a bad day, you just can't help but carry those emotions and carry them out, get that in check. Be intentional, making up words now. Be intentional about getting your emotions in alignment with good emotions. We want to focus on the good emotions of feeling happy, feeling joy, feeling peace, feeling love. That's what you want to focus on. Okay, words. Woo! This is a big one. We unintentionally put each other down, put ourselves down with negative self-talk, right? So that is such a big thing. We put our kids down. We don't support their dreams. We don't support. Oh, well, let me tell you too. We're back up to emotions. We also have to remember our children have emotions, and our husbands have emotions, and our families they all have emotions that we can either add to or we can extract from, right? So if your kid is having a bad emotion, don't meet their emotion with your frustration and their emotion. Help them to work through it and talk through it. So many times, our kids will come to us with their negative emotions because we're their it person. Oftentimes, we don't even realize it. And then we just add to their negative emotions and wonder as they get older why they don't even want to talk to us anymore. We just add to it by trying to fix them. Sometimes you got to let them talk through it, validate how they feel, even if we don't agree with how they feel. Yes, there's a time for discipline. Yes, there's a time to make sure that they're in borders and boundaries. But there's a lot of times where they're just going through their 5-year-old, 8-year-old, 12-year-old, 17-year-old. I have one of those. 22-year-old. Whew, help. 12-year-old. We got one of those. And 5-year-old. Yes, I got it all. They're going through their stage of emotions, and they're in their different stages of life. And we need to support them through these stages of emotions and not put our emotions in it and not put how we think or know they should be feeling because we've experienced some of these emotions. And now that we have matured in our emotional state, now we need to help them mature now. No, meet them where they're at. Stop trying to pull our kids and make them to become mature and think the way we think and function the way we function. They just sometimes just need to know that they can have their emotions. They can be valid and real. Oh, this is a good one. My daughter today, she's late for school. I'm mad. She's rubbing her nose, snotting and carrying on. I'm mad because I told this child to take her allergy medication. And then, what was the next thing? Oh, she has the audacity to text me from school and say, I feel like my face is going to fall off. And I thought to myself, well, if you would have taken the allergy medication I told you to take days ago, I said, I am not going to sit here and feed you your medication. But I will say this morning, I made her tea. I heated up breakfast, which was no good. And then, I made her tea. I heated up, anyways. But I did set out her allergy medication because I already knew. So as mothers, half the time we know. So let's also be intentional about trying to keep our kids' emotions in check. So I know when she gets all allergic, she gets emotionally, she goes down a few notches because she just doesn't feel good. So they go hand in hand. So this morning when she came down, she said herself, because she already knew what I was going to say, and she needed a reason to be late. So she said, I need allergy medication. I said, it's right there. And so she takes her allergy medication, and then she goes to school. And she texts me and says, I feel like my face is going to fall off. And like I said, well, if you would have taken that medication days ago, and I started texting it too. If you would have taken the medication days ago, don't even think you're coming home. And I said, now what will that do to her? I erased it all and said, sorry to hear that. And then she sent a sad face emoji, and I don't know what transpired from there. Who knows? But I just met her where she was feeling, and I didn't put my feelings and emotions into it. And I'm sure that it didn't have the effect that it would have had if I would have said, you should have taken your medication days ago when I told you to, because that would have made her feel, it just would have made her feel bad for 100 reasons, right? She was incapable of carrying out a task. She felt defeated. Now she's in trouble for not taking her medication days ago, when how often do I take my vitamins that I'm supposed to take every day? So when we also start to see like how we don't always accomplish those things or don't carry out those things that we want to do as mothers and as women, we can be more gracious to our children too. So take their emotions into account. Look at our husbands. They have long days. They have dreams. They have aspirations. Are we paying attention to their emotions? Do we care about how they're feeling? Are we asking them? Are we doing emotional check-ins? This one girl, when I worked at Nurse Family Partnerships, she was one of my moms, and she gave me this really great idea. It was like emotional check-in where you would meet once a week with your husband and kids, and you would just like, how's everybody feeling? How's everybody doing? And I just think that was great. So we haven't done it in a long time because so much has transpired between the whole house was like wild. And then we just lost track of that. So, but I thought it was a great thing to do, to just have these check-ins. So I think I'm going to get back to incorporating that. We've talked about it, my husband and I. And so just incorporating in our time, like having family meetings, and just let them talk and not give our feedback about what we think they should be feeling. Let them have their feeling, let them have their emotion, and just let them move through it. And if there is an opening for you to share that they're looking for, give it. But other than that, don't even waste your time. But it's not a waste of time to try to give our kids wise counsel and help them work through their emotions. But if you get what I'm saying, just understanding, is the timing right? Is it necessary to say right now? Maybe later you can say, hey, how are you feeling? I was thinking, is it okay for me to share about how you're feeling about this situation, versus just inserting our thoughts and, oh, you're so young, you don't get it, or all these things that we say that take away from their experience at their age right now that we hated when people and adults did it to us back when we were younger, right? Okay, so I talked too long about that. Words to uplift and empower. It's so important. Come on. We have to do better as parents. I hear people all the time in stores. I hear myself. I've gotten spoken to. Like, we just need to make sure that when we're talking to our children and our husbands, that we're empowering them and we're uplifting them, and we're looking at timing for correction, and we're not doing it in front of people. There was a situation where then my husband and I are talking, and then my son hears, and then boom, here comes the explosion. And I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said anything within his earshot. And then it's just like, we just have to look at it and we have to be honest and say, okay, that was poor timing. That was a bad decision. And I could have attributed to the negative emotion that just came out. Right. So we have to be wise with your words. Everything's not like, we might think it's a joke, but a lot of times these jokes still have power. Like, oh, you never clean your room. Oh, you never do this. Oh, I'm so used to this, or this is just how you are, or here he goes again, or this person's that again. You start to speak this stuff to them, and that is exactly what they stay and become even worse because we are using our words. There's a verse that says, the tongue hath the power of life and death. Where's that verse at? Proverbs 12:18. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. So literally, our tongue has the power to help someone grow. You can plant seeds of life, seeds of empowerment, seeds of elevation, or you can plant seeds of death. You never do this. You never do that. You never do this. You're this, you're this, you're that. And oftentimes that comes from how we grew up, constantly being corrected. No one's focusing on the strengths. No one's focusing on how that does look great or how that is well carried out. But here's this one piece that is not right. And that's what I'm going to focus on. And focus on timing. Like I said, did I tell you guys how yesterday I came in the house and things weren't clean and weren't clean the way that I had expected them to be when I came home? And it was like, okay, am I going to say something? Am I not going to say something? So holding that in was hard. And I just said, husband, I need a hug. And he's like, you do need a hug, because I wear my emotions on my face. So he knew I wasn't content. I did say out loud, like, I guess it's just not what I expected. And I tried to say it in this quivery voice because normally I have a stronger voice, and that would have started to set off tones, and then everyone would have been validating what they did all day. I did ask my daughter at one point, I was like, what'd you do all day? And then I had to pull back and say, hey, didn't you want to go to this thing for this young man who had passed away? I'm like, hey, go there. And it was my husband's mother's birthday. So we were trying to go and surprise her at her job. So I had just gotten all this stuff. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not going to focus on this. I have to choose to focus on the good things and focus on what we're doing that's good, because this isn't going to change. All I'm going to do is now add on to the negative of emotion of how I'm feeling and create one for them. I don't know how they feel about the house. They didn't care, obviously. So with that being said, it's like timing is so important. Right when you're about to go do something or go places, it's not the time to blurt out. It's like, hey, okay, we can get a new plan and figure out what happened from there. But timing is so powerful. So make sure you use your words to uplift and to empower. Work. What are you doing around the house, right? So then that kind of correlates with that. So is everyone being a part of how the house functions? Making sure that you're actually communicating with what's going on in the house. It makes things a lot easier versus, oh, this is happening and that's happening and that. And like making sure that the house is clean. Nobody wants to come home to a messy house, right? It just doesn't feel good. It changes your emotions. So just starting with like at 7:00 or whatever time it's going to be, that you're going to take a half an hour just to straighten up. I know those nights that things went crazy and we all just went to bed. You wake up in the morning and it's like, oh man, I have to straighten up now from this movie night or from this night. And that can be frustrating and start off your day wrong or end your day wrong if someone's like coming in late. So character. Woman, are we patient? I know I lack patience a lot. I will not say I lack it. I have patience and it needs to grow. That's me trying to use my words better for myself. But so patience is important, being kind and compassionate and empathetic. We have to think about where our family has been and what they're experiencing. And like I said, everyone's in a different stage. From year to year, you change, things change. So our character, the character that we express in the home should be better than the character we express to strangers. And I oftentimes find that it's very opposite. We can treat strangers so graciously and so kind and with so much compassion. And then at home, they're the ones who get the brunt of everything. And I get it. Like I said, but I don't know if I said it in this video, but like we have expectations. Strangers, we have no expectations of them. So it's easy to be patient and to be kind and to be, long suffering with them. But our husbands definitely got expectations. Kids, we have expectations, and expectations aren't a bad thing when they can be carried out with compassion. You should have boundaries. You should have expectations. We're not saying throw that out the window, But these are the people, I always say, what I learned is these are the people that my soul would utterly be in anguish if something happened to them. Yet I can find myself treating strangers with more kindness and more grace and more mercy at times because I don't know them or because we're having some sort of, hobnobbing relationship or whatever. Like, no. These people who you birthed, who you've married, who you're in relationship with, those are the ones who are like your heart. And then we go and treat strangers better, or we give them more grace and more mercy. No. We got to change that. And they should get it too. But our families should be like, they're our first joy. They're the ones who, outside of God, they're the ones who fill us and fuel us to function every day. So they're the ones who really matter. So we need to pay more attention to how we're treating them. And we have the ability to change the whole atmosphere of our home as women. We really have to get our emotions and we have to get our thought process and our perspectives in check. A lot of time it's a perspective thing. Financially, are you extracting from your home? Are you building your home? Do you go out and buy frivolous things? Is your account going negative? My account's gone negative, right? Yeah. Mismanagement of money. It's so important to understand how these things do have an impact on the home and the emotions, because it just does. There's not much we can say outside of it just does impact the home. So it's so very important to be very intentional about how we're managing things and communicating with our family in love and in kindness and making sure that they know that they are loved, making sure they know that they are cared for. Okay, what's this other? Proverbs 18:21. This was another verse that I wanted to share. A gentle tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it breaks the spirit. We can break the spirit of our husbands, of our kids, of ourselves with all the negativity, with the lack of really believing that we have value, purpose, and we can be empowered. It's like you really have to know it and believe it for yourself. Then you can give it to others. So what might need to happen here, like the first one, getting your emotions in check. What do you think about yourself? Because that will help you in how you deal with others. I know things don't get me so flustered anymore because I have learned to love myself the way God sees me. Not love myself on this earthly standard of like success and how much money I have and my job and all these things. No, I have learned to love myself through God's eyes, which means I can be flat broke, but no, I am special, valued, loved, and I am a daughter of the Most High God. So for me, I could lose everything. The traumas that have happened to me, they have no weight on how I feel about myself. That stuff is supposed to then get pushed off into a spot where, okay, this happened. Here's the wisdom I got from it. Here's the wisdom I can give to others through it. Not this happened to me, so I'm worthless. I have no value. I'm not special. I can't love anyone. I hate all men. Men are terrible. They're dirty, rotten dogs. That's how I used to think from my trauma. I used to think men were trifling, and then I started to treat men the way that men act. All I did was just gain baggage for myself. So you have to get out of that perspective and that mindset as well. Those who might be single, understanding like if you have children, you're a single mom, let the men go. Get your healing, get your peace, get your emotions in check, and coddle and love and build your kids with your words, with how you empower them, with teaching them. You don't have to have money and send them to every event and all this stuff. Just sit there and with Animal Planet and just teach them and watch how their brains light up and grow, and just pour into your children and look at what they're interested in, and pour into your husbands, your spouses, your whoever you're in relationship with. Pour into them, and you're really, really pouring into yourself, because they are so interconnected with you that you just become like, you're all like, well, you and your husband and or of course are one, but like your children, they came from you. So they feel, you feel. They hurt, you hurt. You can see how we are so interconnected with other humans. I had not known a woman at all. Her son died, and I literally felt that in my soul and cried like I was her friend. And I had no idea who she was, but it was just the way that the story just hit me and impacted me. It happens all the time. That's why I don't watch the news. I can't handle it. I'll just be sitting around crying all the time. So anyways, last verse. I don't know. I think I already said this. but we're going to repeat it because this is what's important. Proverbs 14:1. Every wise woman buildeth her house. Are you a wise woman? Are you building your house? Does your family love to come home? I remember, listen, let me tell you one other story. I remember my husband was being so nice and cleaned the hardwood floors and they were shining. I mean, I came in and I was like, oh, look at these floors. I felt good. They were new and they were shiny. And as I got up closer, I saw, I guess he had, I don't know if any of you who have hardwood floors know that you can't pour the, like the floor cleaner, shiner, waxer. You can't pour it more than 3 feet in a 3 feet box because it'll dry and leave like a film. So it'll still stay wet, but like there'll be like a little ring of where the droplets went. So I got close up to the floor and I saw these rings and my eyes got big. And I'm poor with timing. I may be nice with words sometimes. If I'm not mean with my words, I'm probably poor with timing. And so house is looking good and smelling good, but I got up close and there's these rings on the floor. And no wonder no one cleaned yesterday. This is what happened. And so I get up close and I see these rings on the floor and I say, I said, you must have did it more than 3 feet. Like as if he read the instructions, right? To know that you should only clean in little boxes. And he's like, he says whatever he says. It doesn't even matter because I already know what happened. And here I go. All his work and all his efforts, house smells good. Everyone did their thing. I come in from work and me and my bag from work and all this stuff. I put that down and I go get a rag and I start trying to clean the circles off the floor, clean the film. I'm like, I think we're going to have to get it professionally cleaned now to get all these little circles up off the floor and And so womp, womp, womp. They did all this good thing. And instead of me saying like, oh, come on, guys, like, thank you so much. And just knowing in the back of my mind, I'm going to have to figure out how to clean those things off the floor. But I know they worked hard at this. Thank you so much. Boom. Here I go. I killed the whole vibe, the whole entire vibe. So then he and I got into a little bit and that. And then even so conflict happens, conflict happened with my oldest and my husband. And I'm just like, okay, how should I function? You know what? Just learn how to pray. Just be available. Just be emotionally available to meet whatever need it is that they have. Less words, more prayer. Less words, more support. This is life. Stuff is going to happen. If I sat here and tried to say my house had no conflict, that I came in the house bubbly and happy every day and all this stuff, I'd be lying. Sometimes I don't even know why I'm waking up internally just flat, for lack of a better word. It just happens. And sometimes they might be too. We just have to be intentional about building, intentional about empowering, intentional about being strong for our children and for our loved ones. Okay, I've talked too long now. I hope you got the point. A wise woman builds her house. Be a wise woman. Build your house with love. Build your house in your finances. Build your house in the way that your kids are going to respond to you when they're conflict, when they're feeling emotionally drained. Don't drain them even more. Fill up their drain. Just fill them with love. Just pour love on it. Just pour love on it. And that will be the most powerful gift you can give them. If you don't know what to say, don't try to fill their silent spaces. Just be present. You don't have to speak. You don't have to say something for everything. Sometimes you just need to be silent. Just pray. Ask God to help you figure out what to say, if you should say anything. Come back to it later. Hey, you still want to talk about that? And if you make a mistake, please be willing to say, I'm sorry. Please be capable of saying that was my fault and my error. There's nothing worse than a parent who can't apologize. Oh, that's my kid. They need to get it. No, that's my husband. He knows. No, they don't know. There's power in saying I'm sorry. There's power in saying, you know what, I didn't handle that the best way I should have. There's power in that. Our kids are looking for that. They want to hear that. People, not even just our kids, our husbands, anybody. If you do something wrong, I don't expect, people love to talk about hypocrisy and Christians being fake. Christians are just as human too. I hope you're a Christian who can apologize if you're claiming Christianity. If you're claiming to be a person who loves God, I hope you can apologize. Apologies are so important. Don't ever X that out of the equation. You don't even have to claim God. This is just basic morality. If you do something wrong, you should apologize. If you notice, hey, that wasn't in the best way, but this still stands. This part was wrong, but this rule still stands. You can do that too. It's not like you have to apologize for the whole thing and uproot what was instilled if it's some form of discipline. But if you disciplined out of line and out of order, basic moral law that we all have instinctually in us, you can say, I'm sorry. Okay. So anyways, I keep talking. God bless you all. Thank you for tuning in to Morning Flame. Please, Morning Flame. I can't even say it. Please remember, like, subscribe, share. God bless you all.